So let's take a quick tour around the front panel to give you a good overall feel for how the O1X works and introduce some of the key features and parameters. On the left hand side are the channel controls. These relate to individual sound sources coming into the O1X on their own separate channels, like a microphone or an instrument or the output of a CD. At the top are the gain controls. These can set your analog inputs to accommodate either microphone or line level signals. And you can adjust the sensitivity of these from a range from plus 4 dB to minus 46 dB, depending on the input signal. Next down is the LCD, one of the key features of the O1X. This displays many different parameters depending on which mode you're in. Below the LCD are the channel knobs. These can be used to control the various parameter settings for each channel. By holding down the shift button and adjusting the knobs, you can adjust them in broad value changes. The knobs also have velocity to them. The quicker you turn them, the more rapid the changes can be. Beneath the channel knobs are the select buttons. These can be used to select or activate an individual channel for editing. Just above the faders are the on buttons. These can basically turn channels on and off, but have additional functions when using with the solo button or also the auto read-write function, which we'll cover at a later stage. On the right hand side are controls that select different functions and modes of the O1X. At the top are the primary mode buttons. Effectively, there are 4 modes on the O1X. We have remote control mode, which is used for controlling your DAW software engine, which we can see on the screen here is Cubase or Nuendo. We have the internal mode for controlling the O1X's internal mixer. We have the scene button, which allows us to recall and store up to 100 complete snapshots of all the settings of the O1X. And then finally the utility button. The utility mode allows you to set preferences for how you want to work and configure your O1X, and allows you to set those preferences and store them by using the backup function. Below the mode buttons are the page buttons. If you press the low EQ, for example, you'll be at the start of all of the pages. You can then press the display down button to go through each of the pages, and we see as we scroll through the pages that the LEDs move along as we're going through the different pages on the O1X. Pressing the page up button brings us back through the page chapters. You notice if you start at the beginning and press down 4 times, we then move to the next page. Each of the buttons in the page represents effectively a new chapter. So instead of pressing the display button down each time, you can actually just go through the various chapters just by pressing the individual buttons at any stage. You can also use the name and value key to switch between displaying the name of the parameter, for example here we see pan, and the value. So we see here that channel 1 is set to L63, which is hard left. We can also move all the way over to R63, which is hard right. Pressing the shift button with any of these allows us to revert them back to either a default or 0 value, the default for the panning being center. Generally speaking, it's very convenient to see 8 channels of information at once. However, there are times when you may want to see many parameters for one channel at any one time. For this, you can use the selected channel button. Select the layer, and the O1X works as a 3-layer mixer, with layer 1 being the analog inputs 1 through to 8, layer 2 being channels 9 through to 16, which can be coming in from an MLAN source such as an MLAN 16E connected to a Motif EX, or Yamaha's new i88X Audio I/O interface. And channel 17 to 24 being layer 3 can also be coming in from additional MLAN equipment, again from the i88X or from an MLAN 16E for example. So we select the layer that we wish to edit, and the selected channel within that layer can be accessed by pressing the select button. Now we can see the various parameters associated with that channel, and we can move through them. So we can see here in the top right of the screen that we're in layer 1, which is our first 8 MLAN channels, And as we go through from channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 in that layer, the selected channel MLAN layer appears in the top right hand side. Below this we have our edit function keys. These are principally only used when we're connecting with an audio sequencer, like Cubase or Logic. We have our jog shuttle wheel. This allows us to do things like jog through the song to go to a specific point. Above this are the transport keys: rewind, fast forward, stop, play and record, much like a normal tape recorder.